Hello, thank you for jumping on and catching up with Ash and I for our weekly Zoom with our hotspots and hot tips of the week. How you going, Ash?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Busy to a certain extent. Yeah, very interesting. We were just talking before we jumped on that the Brisbane and Logan market's really cooling down a little bit. So we're having to pull out all the extra stops in terms of leasing and getting everything rented. So otherwise, yeah, really good.
And it's good to hear that because I always say to my clients that we hear that it's such a good rental market and it's tight, but it's a very general term. It actually doesn't apply to every area and every property and every suburb. And so it's good to hear that from you as well, because that's what we find on the ground, that I think it's a little bit better in Perth at the moment. Like on average, we're still only needing to do like 1 or 2 home opens, maybe 3, but not really. So that's still pretty good. But you were saying that you've had to do like a few more on properties.
Yeah. I've just actually been speaking to a few people where I'm doing appraisals for the properties coming on in the coming weeks. And I'm like, hey, I'm actually going to go pretty conservative on this because the last couple of weeks, or even month, it's been quite quiet. And if we are getting applications, they're kind of lower quality applications and we don't want to risk putting them in. So, yeah, definitely having to pull out all the stops. To be honest, it's not like we're not advertising them cheap either. They're like, slightly above market value. But yeah, it's becoming more unachievable to get those like outstanding rents in the current market.
And are you seeing the sales market, like are the sales home opens really busy and going for ridiculous prices, or is that also slowed down in line?
There's not a lot of stock on the market. I did do a pre-purchase inspection in a suburb called Crestmead recently, and we were able to get in before the open, and me and the buyer's agent were discussing prices. I was like, yeah, 530, 540. My idea was, just lowball them. And then he's like, it's going to go for 550, Jackie. And then it's off for 580. So, which
And
is crazy.
that's what's happening in Perth. And we had one that was on the market from 399, and the agent said to me, listen, it's probably going to be around mid fours, like, some offers are coming in, and that's really where we're going to have to hover your client's offer. And so went and did a home open on the weekend, went to the home open. It ended up selling for 525, like ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, but definitely seeing big home opens, but actually better. The properties that are selling and having these really amazing case studies are actually the ones that are priced on the market very low and getting that interest. And that, we've spoken about it before, that whole psychology of like bidding and wanting to like win. It really is pushing these properties up. But if you had advertised that property, let's say for 450 or 460,000, I don't think it would have got 525. So it's really interesting, that whole psychology, which is what we go into in our Empowered Investor course as well, and being mindful of that.
Yeah, well, that was even like, I don't know if you saw the link, it got shared on an investor page, a property in Crestmead on Billabong Court, and it was absolutely trash. And they did this big campaign about the air cons ripped off the wall, the tenants absolutely ripped the kitchen out, destroyed. So that sold for 497, needed 100 grand on it. And there's just thousands of people at the auction. So in saying that, there is still, a bit of stupid money being thrown around at some of it. Like I wanted to go to the auction because I'm like, oh, it might be a bargain. But then I knew it would just go for crazy money.
There are no bargains, you should know that.
Yes, yeah. I always have hope. I always like get excited, especially on the market. These agents, they are hired to do a job, and that's to get the most money. So, what's your hotspot of the week this week?
Yeah, I'm going to use Greenfields as my hotspot, and I'm mentioning it because I'm getting asked the most about the area. That's where that really good case study was, and it definitely has been the most popular suburb for the last couple of weeks. So I've just pulled up some stats on it as per RP Data's current report. So the median rent there is about $480 per week. The median value is $435,000. I think that's going to have to be updated soon though. In the last 12 months, we've seen an 18.8% increase in the median value, and over 5 years, we've seen an increase of 47.9% increase in value. So it's definitely a popular one, but with that, I like to talk to my clients about saturated markets. And sometimes when we do get massive inquiries for a certain suburb, we will actually see these prices go up. And we saw that in Gosnells. So for those that are looking in Perth will be familiar with Gosnells, where we saw these prices going up so much because there was so much activity just flooding it. So I guess just being mindful that while it is a popular investor suburb at the moment and performing well, be aware that it is saturated and the competition is very high. And if you are looking for a bargain, you're not going to find one there.
Yeah. Don't look for the bargains. Let them. Yeah, that's where the power of off market. Are you finding much off market opportunities at the moment?
No, and to be honest, I would actually question the selling agent's reason for doing off market, because I don't think it's in the seller's best interest personally. If there's a reason for it being off market, maybe it's tenanted or family or something like that, sure, but I don't think it's in the seller's best interest. And interesting enough, and the reason why I don't think it's a great option and therefore not being popular with in the Perth market is this example that I just shared before, that prior to the home open, before anyone even looked at the property, there were 20 offers and they were hovering around that mid 400 mark. Now, after the home open, that's when the prices went up to 525, and the agent was processing those offers. The home open was at 3 o'clock. By 5 o'clock, the offer was accepted. So very quickly. So it just goes to show you, if it hadn't gone to a home open, it probably would have gone around 450. Went to home open, it got 525. So really, that's why you want to be going to market.
Yeah, exactly. And in terms of a tip for an investor, I find if you're making an offer and there's say it's a Thursday or a Wednesday, advertised time for a Saturday, is putting a time limit on that offer. You can always revise the offer after, but if you were to say, look, I will sign a contract at 450. If you sign it today, if not, I'm out. Doesn't always work, but it can be an effective strategy, because you essentially, if it, what price did that go for? 520.
525.
Yeah, wow. So potentially using that as a strategy can be effective, and you potentially making $70,000 in equity just by putting a fake time limit on, on the offer. So it's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about your suburb of the week?
Okay, so I don't have a suburb, but like we were discussing before, so Queensland is this big, massive state. And I always get asked, Jackie, do you service Toowoomba? Do you service this? I'm getting lots and lots of inquiries about 2 regions, which I'm going to look into for our followers and investors. And that is Rockhampton and Townsville. So I've been looking into the data and personally looking to potentially invest in those areas. So I'm going to look into them further, because even though they are, I think that's about 8 hours from where I am, still in Queensland. And I think looking at the figures, you can still buy for under 500K, under 450 for a freestanding house on 800 square meters. So I think there is great opportunities up there. What I did want to speak about today, actually, rather than a suburb, is a conversation I had with a new client yesterday. So in the Brisbane market, like I was saying before, yes, the market has cooled. However, what we had over the last 2 years was just crazy amounts of rental growth. And most areas you'd find 50, 60% increase over what it was around COVID time. So this client was saying that he's just had a second renewal and the current managing agent has recommended a $10 rental increase. The 12 months before she recommended and they signed a $10 rental increase. This property's renting for $380. The market value is about $500 per week. So way off the money in terms of what it should be. So I think it's important to obviously not micromanage your property manager, but before signing off on that, just checking the market, have a quick scroll through realestate.com and see what properties are renting for that are comparable, because you're leaving, that's potentially 20 grand on the table in rental increases that, he's missed out on.
Yeah, I see that sometimes with property managers where they do just a blanket $10 or $20, like every 6 or 12 months, whatever state rule you've got. And I think it's just because some property managers have been trained to just do that stock standard $10 or $20. But you're right, like I know that in our office we provide a CMA at the times, and also as a landlord asking that question to the property manager, if my property was to be vacant, what would it go on the market for? Because that's really what you want to know, because when you know that price, then you can decide whether you're going to lower it a little bit, be close to it, depending on the quality of tenant that you've got. You can decide how flexible you want to be with that increase. But I agree. I think that just a $10, $20 with no explanation is probably not great, and they should question a CMA, check the rental market. And it's okay to ask your property manager, what properties are they comparing it to? What would it go on if I was to advertise it again? They're really good questions to ask, and keep the property manager on their toes with them.
Yeah, exactly. And, at the end of the day, like, we property managers are extremely busy. If it's with like a major franchise or big organization, they could be dealing with 100, 150 properties. So, sometimes there can be, it's not personal, but it's like they're busy. So it is easy to send out a blanket $10, $15 increase and not actually check the market. So in terms of the best interest of the investor, like, you hire a property manager, but there's certain levels of, you don't want to outsource all your responsibility at the same time as well. So something to keep in mind. But I'm super excited to look into Rockhampton and Townsville. So that's going to be my little passion project over the next couple of weeks, and I'll come back with a bit of data and pick some suburbs out for you guys.
Fabulous. Excellent. Look forward to hearing about it. And I will see you next week with some more tips, and also we'll see how those top suburbs are going in 7 days.
Yes. All right. Have a great week.
You too. See you. Bye.